This is a very quick demonstration of how you can use animations in the new release of Otto Blockly. So things have been made much easier, so the animations are much smoother, but you do have to be careful that you remember to update the screen once you've actually written the shapes or the text that you want to be presented on your OLED. So I'm not going to go through how the OLED is connected up to Otto. That is covered in another video. This is purely about using Blockly to animate perhaps different features on your Otto. And what I'm taking as an example is the Otto logo. So I'm just going to take you through the Blockly quickly, how I've put this together to create the animations. So the first part is going to be the frame. So the frame is effectively a rounded square of size 52 by 52, which sits nicely on the OLED. Now you need to actually create this with three different rounded squares in order to get the right thickness for the frame. So that's just the outside, the box that you'll see in a minute. And to allow me control over the individual characters which go in here, I've just made the O and the plus signs separate so I can move these around. Now I couldn't use text because of the size of the box that I'd chosen. The text sizes are fixed, 1 or 2, and they weren't quite right, and in fact the O didn't look quite right. So I just created my own ones using circles and rectangles that I'd filled in. So I now have complete control on the frame and the O's and the pluses that we have to make the logo. And of course you generate the main logo, which is the one that we're familiar with the Otto at the bottom of the frame. So this is centralizing it on the OLED, so don't worry too much about these numbers. This just makes sure that everything is nicely centralized and positioned so that the main logo is generated. The logo left, top and right is just allowing me to move the Otto to the left of the frame, to the top of the frame, and to the right of the frame, and I use this in one of the sequences that I've put together. Okay, so nothing too fancy with the sequences. You'll see them in a second. So the first one is a split. So this is going to split the logo, the main logo, vertically and horizontally. So everything splits apart and then comes back together again. Okay, so again, you can play around with timings with this and the steps. Okay, I found that steps of 2 seems to give us a nice smooth motion, doesn't take too long. You can make this higher or go down to 1 if you wish. It just means the animation takes longer. Logo spin is where I use the left, top and right and just spin the Otto logo around in varying steps. So it starts off fairly quickly and slows down towards the end. Okay, so you'll see that happening. I quite like the logo random, so I create the frame and then randomize the positions for the 0 and the plus a number of times, 36 times, and then it settles down to be the main logo screen at the end. So that one's quite nice. And invert, this should be easier. You can invert text very easily, but it's not so easy to invert shapes. So I've just essentially inverted the frame so that it becomes all white, and then inverted the zeros and the pluses, the O's and the pluses, and alternate between the main logo and the inverted colors, as it were. Okay, so you'll see that in the demonstration. Fine. Okay, so let's take a look at this then. Okay, now apologies for the light, but if I put on the LED light on my Razer Cam, it will give a lot of flickering, similarly with any background light. So there is going to be flickering, that's inevitable. I can assure you that the animations themselves are perfectly, they do not flicker at all on your OLED. So when you try this out, we've now sorted all of that out in the new release, and this is what it looks like. Right, so there's the main logo, and this is logo split, and you can see it coming back together again. So this is logo spin, slowing down. Random logo, and the invert, which does give a bit of flickering, but it's really quite nice. So you can see there you've got 4 Very straightforward routines. You can play around with positioning of the O's and the pluses and the frame. You have complete control on where you put this, and you can come up with your own nice animations for the logo for Otto.